Don't mess with the final girl. Hey, I'm Gory B Movie.
I'm Danny Nightmare.
And we're horror addicts. And today we're reviewing the movie The Final Girls. The Final Girls is about a young woman named Max that is pulled into a slasher movie that her deceased mother starred in back in the 1980s. Within the film, Max, her real-world friends, and the cast of the film must fight off Billy, a maniacal killer that stalks Camp Bloodbath.
We're in a movie?
But this is a horror movie, and Billy Murphy's really after all of us.
Theater scene is pretty awesome. It gets all Final Destination on him as the vodka bottle rolls down to the hall and the cigarette falls on it, lighting the theater on fire. And the gang has nowhere to go other than into the movie, very last action hero-esque.
With a machete.
Yeah. Ah.
All that wasted vodka. So let's talk about the cast and crew.
Final Girls was directed by Todd Strauss-Sculson, who's best known for directing A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas. It was written by M.A. Fortin and Joshua John Miller, and stars Thaisa Farmiga as Max, and Malin Ackerman as her mother.
Alexander Ludwig, Nina Dobrev, Alia Shawkat, Thomas Middleditch, and Adam Devine fill out the rest of the cast. First, I want to talk about the writers of the film, in particular Joshua John Miller. You might remember him as Homer from Near Dark. He's also the half-brother of Jason Patric, who starred in The Lost Boys, and he is the son of the actor that played Father Karras in 1973's The Exorcist. Like Max in the film, Miller grew up seeing his father die in the movie The Exorcist. When his father passed away in real life in 2001, he was inspired to write the film.
Don't forget to crew member Ted Underwood. He was definitely the best boy. Now let's talk about the cast. As you mentioned earlier, Adam Devine is in this movie, and he is hilarious. He plays a very similar role to what he had in Pitch Perfect, but the kid is just so charming, even when he's being cocky and ridiculous.
Anyone want to help me pick some strawberries?
Nope, but I'll give you a hand with those melons. Talking about her boobs.
He reminds me a lot of a young Jack Black. They look alike, they can both sing, and they both make the best faces. I would love to see them play brothers in a movie someday.
Jack had a little brother in the Tenacious D movie. I would love a sequel where his younger brother has a Christian band and they have like a battle of the bands warring.
Make it happen, Hollywood!
Two other funny actors in this film is Alia Shawkat from Arrested Development and Angela Trimber. Angela plays the typical slutty chick. When Max and her friends invade the film, she comes off naive and very innocent to anything that she wasn't written for. She's a very lovable and squirrely character that I just couldn't get enough of. And I really have to give it up for her because she downed like 10 Red Bulls and really gave it her all for her big striptease scene.
I was really surprised by Alexander Ludwig, who typically, from what I've seen anyway, only plays asshats, like in The Hunger Games and Final Girl.
Yeah, Final Girl, not Girls. Two different movies that came out around the very same time, with very similar titles.
Ludwig's character in Final Girls is a complete 180 from what we saw of him in Final Girl. He's just so lovable and sweet, I just want to smush his little cheeks. I also just loved this character. He was very comfortable with strong women and he never insisted upon saving the day himself. Which is important because it's called Final Girls. Dude, know your place. I also loved the line where he tells Adam Devine's character that he has two gay dads, since the characters' dads would be the writers of the film, who are both gay men.
And of course we can't talk about the cast without mentioning the two leads of this film, Thaisa Farmiga and Malin Ackerman. Malin did a fantastic job of playing both Max's mom and her younger alter ego that starred in Camp Bloodbath. Thaisa has those big doe eyes that just filled the whole part with so much emotion and just really gets you in the feels.
These two women were the heart of the film. They really grounded the movie and gave it depth. I loved these two characters and I loved their relationship together. It was very sweet and moving, but there was enough comedy to keep it from being cheesy.
Yes, this film was very moving and beautiful, not just emotionally, but visually as well.
Yeah, this movie had a beautiful color palette. Every scene in this film just popped with color that gave this very surreal, magical fantasy feel.
Yeah, like when they first get into the film, it almost reminded me of Wizard of Oz. It was that bright and beautiful. They really utilized some really mad camera skills in this movie. They had a bunch of 360 scenes that weren't on a rotator, but the cameraman himself actually had to just kind of time his motion. That was very impressive. They also had to build the cabin itself, a very large cabin where they could fit a very large crane inside. And that crane was on remote control, going from angle to angle, and the actors had to keep up and do it all in one take. It added a lot of excitement and tension to the movie.
And that cabin is still there today at what is now a Girl Scout camp.
You should join.
I'm a little old.
And I'm not a girl.
One of my favorite scenes, and Lal's favorite scene in the movie, is the scene where the killer jumps out of a burning building in slow motion. It's funny because the characters realize that they're in slow motion, but it's also just this beautiful sequence where you see the fire and this beautiful night canvas, and it's just amazing.
There's also a lot of CGI in this film, which can sometimes come off lazy, but in this film it really played up to the humor and just effects in general. I felt like they were really trapped in a movie. They constantly had to walk over title screens, and even just the opening CGI car crash in the beginning was actually very well done.
The only scene where the CGI didn't work for me was the final showdown outside the church. You've got lightning and these big red clouds and all this thunder, and you also have this awesome action sequence, and all of that CGI really took away from what was going on between the characters. What did work for me in that scene and throughout the film was the music. They have this awesome synth score in this film, and I loved it. It was very 80s, and it's very like in league with what's going on in a lot of other horror movies this year, like It Follows.
Yeah, I appreciate a synth score over just some jammed in rock song for no reason.
Even just the rest of the soundtrack, they had great 80s tracks. You've got Warrant and Bananarama and Wang Chung. It was a lot of fun.
And the fight choreography was great in this movie. It was like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets The Matrix.
So, was there anything that didn't work for you in Final Girls?
The one thing that kind of bugged me about this whole movie was that the producers really pushed that PG-13 rating. They're paying an homage to those old movies that had their gore, blood, guts, and tits, but for some reason they were like so afraid of having blood on this film because they really needed a PG rating. And they didn't even put it in theaters. I don't see the point of making it PG-13 if you're not even gonna give it a theatrical release. It went straight to DVD and Blu-ray, and I just felt that there should have been an R-rated or at least unrated director's cut alongside it.
Yeah, what I got from watching this film with the writer's commentary was that the producers really didn't think there'd be an audience for this film. They assumed that because the cast was primarily female, that men wouldn't be interested in seeing it. They also assumed that women wouldn't want to go see a film that had a lot of blood and nudity in it. Clearly, they know very little about horror audiences.
I'm not saying it needed to be a blood and tit fest, but I really didn't want them walking on eggshells to censor themselves. I think a little bit wouldn't have hurt it at all. Especially with Tina's striptease scene. They really built that up with no payout.
A lot of guys are going home with blue balls after that scene.
Why does he hate my boobs? Because they're not big.
Tina, I don't hate your boobies.
I don't either.
But even without all that, it was still a great film. Cut! Now we want to hear from you. Leave us a comment and let us know what your favorite 80s slasher film is and why.
Thanks for watching!